Welcome back to UnCut Juels. I'm Kristin Juel. Thanks for spending Tuesday afternoon with me, or wherever you are. It might be nighttime, maybe morning, because I know we've got some people from Australia hopefully tuning in too. So welcome. I'm very excited for our show today. Before we begin, a couple housekeeping things. So next week, we're going to have another artist that we're excited about, friend of Juel Concepts, Elizabeth Moen, who's a new find for us through our represented from Jana Fisher. We love her. So we're really excited to have her on the show. And then after that, we're trying to figure out the rest of December, and I might opt to take a couple weeks off just because it's a little crazy. So just heads up, we might be slowing down a little bit, but we're going to refine and retune for 2021, which we're really excited about. I think everybody in the collective world is excited about 2021, and it can only be a little bit of a letdown at some point because we can't have this much anticipation of a year. I mean, it's just too much pressure. So I'm going to start managing my own expectations, and hopefully, we'll. I always find those are better anyway because then I get to be pleasantly surprised by the good things that happen. So anyway, that's that. Today we're so excited to have our guest Chris Pierce on the show. I have been a huge fan of his work for a really long time, and you'll see why. It's just profound. So I'm just going to say welcome to UnCut Juels, Chris Pierce. Please join us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good to be with you. Hello, everybody. Wow.
Welcome. We're
I
so excited that you're here. We love you, Chris.
thank
And
you. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. And I,
collectively,
I think you do deserve a little time off. You should take it.
it's been nonstop for us. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I know that 2020 has been a very challenging year.
Yeah.
Thankfully, and it's hard to admit it, but we've been so busy and it's been so much fun, like
Yeah.
except for the other things.
Yeah.
But it's one of those. How have you been?
I've been good. 2020's been it's all part of this great journey and story of our lives. And I feel like um through the emotion of it all, we're able to say we're blessed enough to still be here, still making music,
True that. True
um,
that.
still looking towards the light, and we remember those who are no longer with us, and and know that they're surrounding us with light, and hope for a better everything for everybody
Oh yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2020, 2021. I'm with you on that one. So
Yeah.
where are you? Are you in Los Angeles or
I'm in
you're
LA.
home?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So staying safe for the holiday.
Yep. I'm here.
Yeah.
Just actually went to Whole Foods today and got some stuff to make the three bean salad. The old
A
school
specialty?
three bean salad. Yeah. Pinto
That's
beans, all
great.
kinds of beans. Yeah.
Oof.
Vinegar and yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
reminds me
I
of when
love
I was
that.
a kid, I used to all fight over the three bean salad.
Oh, now you get to make people fight over it too. Where were you a kid growing up? Are you from Southern California?
Yeah, I was born in Pasadena, lived there
Mm,
until I was around 8 or 9, and then moved to a little town called Claremont, where I
mm-hmm.
was until I graduated high school, and
Okay.
then went to USC and moved into LA proper, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Wow, that's great. Yeah, so
yeah.
let's talk about your history a little bit because I know when do you think you started your music? Like when was your start of your music career like as officially for you?
Honest, the honest answer is I feel like I was born with music in my heart, and
Mm,
this the kind of not an understanding, but just an appreciation towards the way that music all has always, for as long as I can remember, has made me feel from the time I was really, really young.
mm.
And growing up, I remember being very young and my parents having vinyl records everywhere, and me actually crawling. One of my earliest memories is crawling to pick out vinyl records and pointing at them for my parents to play. And
That's
and
great.
yeah, and I think what a great memory I have is when my folks were together and we were all in the house, and my dad would sing to my mom and my mom would sing along to the records to my dad, and it was
Mm,
just this incredible feeling. And I think after they split up, I was still pretty young, I think
Mm.
music always took me back to that feeling as well, and it reminded me how powerful music is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one
Mm.
of the earliest memories. But I started in church and community presentations and school stuff. Getting my hands on as many instruments as possible,
Mm.
and that kind of blossomed into my first television appearance when I was 10, and other things into junior high and high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you a different question, but now I'm going to ask you, what was your first television appearance? We'll go back to that
I'm
next question.
dropping TV
Yeah,
appearances on
little
you,
gems here.
just casually. Oh,
I'm like, so much for that pre-production meeting there.
no, man. No, it was a TV show called Kids Incorporated.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, way back when Fergie was on there, and Mario
Oh,
Lopez was on there, and Rasan Patterson, and
oh my gosh.
yeah,
That's great. How
yeah,
fun. How
yeah.
okay, my little rock star 10-year-old kid. I love this. This is makes sense. I mean, it's funny. Like I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there like even just like I had a little modeling career, and even just doing that was like mind blowing when you look back. Like, how did this happen? It's
Yeah.
like you just you guys are set up for so much success being in the LA area. It's
Yeah,
great to see. Yeah, it's
yeah, and I
funny.
feel like at that age we're just so open to the
Yeah.
possibilities, and it's just um,
Hmm.
I
That's
remember
fun.
being on stage in school and community stuff, and just the stages felt so big when
Right.
you're young. They just you're playing in front of 30 people, and it feels like the forum. It's like such and I try to go back to that feeling every time I'm on stage, no matter where I am.
Yeah.
Just that excitement, and just I
Yeah.
want to reach people, and this is giant. Every single stage, every single opportunity I get to play, I want to feel like this is one of the first times. Like the possibilities are endless. Like this is a
Yeah.
limitless situation. Yeah.
Mm.
Try to go back
Mm.
to that.
But kind of is limitless. I mean, really, you
Yeah,
could do because you hold court now.
yeah,
It's your stage, literally.
yeah,
All right. So the
yeah.
other question I was going to ask was when you were growing up and all those vinyl records that you were connecting with, were there any that like sort of inspired you the most that you can remember, or basically like was that an inspiration for you, or were there other inspirations for your music?
Yeah, a couple were Bill Withers live at Carnegie Hall.
Mm.
That one
Mm.
immediately comes to mind.
Mm.
And hearing Bill in a live setting like that, with the great Bobby Hall on percussion and the
Mm.
intros, and just how laid back he was in his storytelling,
Mm.
his songs to me when I was young, his songs had this simplistic beauty to them. They were so singable, are so singable.
Are so
And I
singable.
think when I was a kid, it was easy for me to pick up and sing along. Uh, lean on me sometimes in our lives. I mean, it's just like
Mm.
I remember
Mm.
being a kid and singing along to that over and over and over again. And I also remember, you know, listening to Nina Simone, uh, a lot of uh, Paul McCartney. My mother had loved it, and Zeppelin, and just this huge variety of stuff in my house.
Mm.
Um, and it's really hard. It's a really hard one to answer. I mean, Bill comes to mind immediately, but I literally just started surrounding myself with
Yeah,
music, and I just became a music head at a
that's great.
small age. Was hanging out in the record stores, and you know,
That's
getting
amazing.
cassettes, and making mixtapes, and doing everything that I could to surround myself with sounds. Yeah.
That's great. Do you happen to remember, like, was there a moment that you're like, this was like your first memory with music, like that you were just like, this music moved you and you remembered it, like as a, young, maybe even before you were learning to play, just like the sense of music? Was it the records, or was it something else maybe?
I think it was probably my first time on stage. Uh, I was one of the three kings in a school production, and I think it was probably the second grade. And I remember being on that stage and feeling how powerful it was, and the energy exchange, I
Mm,
recognized that in the second grade. This is so
mm,
powerful. And it was just like, I could feel the energy flowing in. And I remember I was the tallest kid up there, in the second grade. I remember rocking back and forth and back and forth,
wow.
and I couldn't stop rocking. And I remember leaving and being in the car with my parents, and them saying to me, "You were obviously moved beyond
Mm,
on that stage, and we recognize that, and you should too." Um, they said, you were rocking, you were swaying when you sang. You
mm,
just turned into this being, that you could tell it was just really, that you really enjoy it, you really love it. And I think that's my earliest memory, and it has to
mm.
do with stage, because I just love. I mean, my
Yeah,
thing is always, I love the studio, but I love playing on stage. I miss
live.
it so much.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
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 yeah. It's a
yeah.
tough one. That is an incredible memory, though, to think what like Good King Wenceslas last looked out, and you're like, I'm in this. It's like
Yeah,
great.
and I
So,
still rock on stage. I still do it. I
yeah,
do the same,
love that.
kind of a
You do
pendulum.
do that. I've seen you do that. I remember that from the first time I saw you
Yeah,
when we were trying to figure out, like in the early 2010s or whatever, nine
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember the body movement and everything. It's very visceral. It's very, just it exudes from you. Yeah,
It's all
that's
all
great.
all
That's
all heart.
beautiful.
Yeah. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
So, okay. So I know that there's so obviously you're moved by music, you're experiencing all sorts of music, and you're, having all these, mind-blowing like moments. And
Yeah.
then you turn 15 and you lose your hearing in both ears
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
suddenly. And
Yeah.
it's the autosclerosis, right?
Oh, yeah, otosclerosis. Yeah, so I,
Autosclerosis.
I remember going to school one day, and not being able to hear the teacher as well. And then going to school like the next day and not being able to hear her at all, and then asking to move to the
Mm,
front of the class. And this was like, first period, and kind of at the beginning of the day, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And then I got diagnosed with otosclerosis, which is a hereditary, kind of deformation of the ears and,
mm,
inner ear.
mm.
So I was able to have a surgery on one of my ears, on my right ear, and regain about 75%. And then they wanted me to wait to do my left ear a couple years to see how the right ear took, from
Mhm.
the surgery. And I learned music all over again. I learned sounds all over again, and I applied for scholarship at USC and got in, music scholarship of all things, and then
Wow.
everything just kind of took off. I went to USC. I started, getting tours and getting work, and over
Mm,
the years, I didn't, for many, many years, for decades, I didn't tell anybody about my condition. I didn't want to be treated any differently. I kind of almost forgot about it at times when I was on stage, and I just kept moving, 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 um, until, recently, I got asked to do a TED talk, and, the subject was, uh, about our limitless capabilities. And I
mm,
decided to talk about it publicly for the first time. And that
mm.
really, encouraged me to actually go try to get the surgery on my left ear 30 years later.
Wow.
And I got my hearing back. It didn't quite work out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and here we are.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we can gloss over that, but basically you had a radical surgery
yeah,
and it took for a while
yeah. About a week.
and then
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
and then it didn't. So you're
yeah.
back to your original skill set of how you hear and engage with music, but you had that week, those 7 days of hearing. That's just insane.
Yeah, it was enlightening.
Mm,
I was in shock and disbelief at first, but, it was
mm,
enlightening because it really made me realize how much music meant to me, and I've been doing
yeah.
it all these years, and that,
Mm,
I applied my heart first to it, and that's why I've been able to do it.
yeah.
Um, I started actually speaking out more about it, and it's really been this empowering thing for me, and it's been something that I was never really ashamed of it, but it was something that I
Mm,
kind of hid, and it's been something that I don't hide anymore.
mm.
And I found that the opposite of what I thought would happen, people getting closed up because of it, I found that
Yeah,
the arms and the hearts just open when they hear the story, and that's
yeah.
really, it's a really cool thing.
It's so powerful, Chris. It's just, I mean, it's remarkable that you have done 8 albums of your own, plus bands that you've been a part of and you've started, and all of the live that you do. And I mean, it's remarkable. Really, there's no other word for it. It's the most. It's such a huge inspiration, and I'm so glad that you're doing that. You did the TED Talk on. I feel like that's a I think one of the things, that I studied when I was at my previous life at Kaiser was the ear health and what
Yeah.
ear health really meant. And in the music industry, it's just so overlooked
Mhm.
how, we stress our ears, the decibel levels it shows alone, So
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
it's, I do think it's something to talk about. Obviously, it's also just a factor of what we go through when you're in the live music experience.
Yep.
And, I'm not even sure how that would impact you, except to maybe positively in that you're already dealing with it at such a reduced level that, maybe it's not actually going to impact that more. I don't know, but I know like a lot of people get the tinny in the ringing in their ears. Definitely had that before. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
For
yeah,
sure.
it's a big thing to talk. You got to preventive if you can, but when something like that happens, it's
That's
uh
right.
it's impressive.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I'm really glad that I'm glad that you were able to relearn the music, and how you absorb music that way and how you produce music, obviously, through the
yeah.
lens that you had.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a little tricky because I think the
Mm,
thing that's been the most difficult over the years has not been being on stage or music. It's been communicating with people just on a day-to-day basis.
mm, mm,
Dinner parties, loud clubs, wanting to be part of conversations that I knew I just wasn't able to be a part of. Sitting on the left of people, and
mm,
always on the left side of the table, so I could hear as much
mm,
as I could.
mm,
Um, that's always been the hardest thing for me is this yearning to engage in
mm,
conversation and not being able to. So I actually just
mm,
got some amazing hearing device this summer that I use on my right ear, the ear I had the surgery on that worked, and it's
mm.
just been an incredible difference for me day to day. Uh,
That's great.
yeah, it's been really really
Is
good.
that a device that people can get, or is it just something that was custom made for you?
Yeah, it's a device people can get, but it's I had some like custom settings because of my condition
Mhm.
applied to
Mm,
the hearing aid.
mm.
Yeah, and I
That's
actually put them in both, and on my left ear, if I put it on the custom setting that's like the most amplified, I can kind of hear some like bass rumblings and trucks driving by and stuff like that too. So
great.
that's really interesting.
What was the one sound that you were surprised at when you could hear those 7 days that you were like, this was different than I remember, or something you wasn't expecting?
Yeah, the wind going through the trees, the leaves,
Mm.
just blew my mind.
Wow, that's crazy,
It
Chris.
just was so beautiful to me. It was just
Mm,
like an orchestra. It
yeah,
was windy that day, and I remember walking through the neighborhoods, tripping out. Uh, yeah, yeah,
that's great. Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I probably would have been a very different person if this had happened to me. So hearing is the one thing that I am the most worried about losing. Like if you can't hear
Mhm.
music, it's different as a person who, I play some music, but not like you guys. And
Mhm.
I can't even imagine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
such a great story, an inspiration for people. So I always tell people, like, if, uh, you think, it's difficult what you're going through, you know what I mean? Like just hearing
Yeah,
stories like that just makes you thankful, at least for some peace.
yeah.
But so, okay, so your career has been prolific, 8 albums, as I mentioned.
Mhm.
I'd love to walk through, you started in the 90s.
Yep.
Well, actually you started when you were young, but like, what was the first year you released an album, your first album?
Uh, it was probably I'd say around 97, I want to say, with a band called The Best of Simple. and that
Okay.
was myself and guitar player Nale Colt and drummer Rick
Not?
Wheeler. Yeah,
That's crazy. I didn't
yeah,
know that. Now that I think about
beautiful,
it, yeah.
beautiful
I love that
spirit.
guy.
Incredible. Yeah, me too. We were actually
Yeah.
roommates for a while, and we're in a band together. And great band. And we released an album. Might have been a little later, 98 maybe. But we
Mm,
played everywhere. We played all the time. We played Molly Malone's every Friday and Luna Park and all
mm.
those great places.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that park.
and then I did my first kind of unreleased record in around 2001.
Mhm.
That's not available anywhere, but I have a copy if anybody wants one. Um, and uh, and then around 2004, I did my first kind of commercial
Okay,
release with a
2004.
label. Yeah, and that was the first one that was released. You know, back in like the when it was the best of simple. I think we even had cassettes that we were selling at shows.
Yep, makes sense.
So it was like, you know, kind of selling in the back of your car. And then I made a couple little ones, like 2001, 2002, that I was selling at shows, but that haven't been released. But my first release was 2004, and that was Static Trampoline.
Oh, good
Um,
name.
yeah, and that was picked up by a record label named Prana and put out there, and uh, couple
There
songs
you
got
go.
some commercial stuff. Yeah, and I got the tour with Seal that year to go around the world with him, which was great, and
That's
promote the
amazing.
record. Yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah,
I didn't even
yeah,
know. Yeah, there's so many little nuggets here. Okay. So you
yeah,
tour with Seal, you released this album, Life is Really Good. What's
yeah.
next?
And then I think some more stuff happened with that album. A series of Banana Republic commercials and Dawson's
Oh, so
Creek and some other stuff.
oh.
And then I was
Is
touring
that
a
the This
bunch.
Is Us one? Okay.
No, that's way before that.
Oh.
So, uh, uh, and then I was touring a lot from like 2004 to 2007, like all over,
Hmm.
U.S., Japan, Europe. Picked up little, you know, deals in different places and the good old days, and
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
2000. Oh boy, I think 2007. I released "Walking on the Earth."
Okay.
And that was my second studio album, and I did that one independent. And I released a U.S. version and a Japanese version. The one you're seeing here is the Japanese art,
Oh,
um,
cool.
uh, and then around 2011, I released "I Can." Oh no, 2010, I released "Live at the Hotel Cafe."
Right.
Yeah, and
I
that
remember
was
that.
yeah, we did a bunch of shows and combined a bunch of the wow, you guys are on it with the graphics. We combined a bunch of the takes from the shows and the spirit from the shows and put that out with the Hotel Cafe.
Okay.
That was great. And then 2011, a release called "I Can Hear You," which was my own little joke at the time uh, with the
Yeah.
title. Uh,
Considering, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Um,
That's a great picture. I love that picture. Oh,
Thank you. Yeah,
so
my
fun.
friend Ante. You know Ante
I
Rute.
don't.
Yeah, he
Mm-mm.
took that shot.
It's a great shot. It's like a
Yeah,
superhero shot.
yeah, right.
Don't you
Exactly.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, let
I
me take
never
my
thought of it that way. Let's see. Yeah. Um,
yeah. Good shot.
and then let me see. Around 2013 or 14, I could be getting the year wrong. I released a acoustic record called um, "When the Hustle Comes to a Stop."
Mm,
Yeah, that's the
I
one
remember
with
that
the
too.
yeah. And then I I started a group called Reverend Tall Tree and the Blackstrap Brothers, and we
Hmm.
released an album in 2015, and that was a blues based. Hey, there we go.
I
Uh,
got you. I got you. This album is dope. Oh, I
yeah,
can
and
see
that's
it.
with Dylan
Look at
Cooper on bass, Trevor
right.
Lanier on guitar, and Chris Lovejoy.
That's
Uh,
funny. I didn't realize that that was Trevor on guitar.
yeah, Trev,
That's funny.
yeah, man, yeah, all those guys just brilliant and
So
beautiful
this
people.
happened as a result of being you walking into, you said Sassafras, right? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, exactly.
here in Hollywood?
Yeah, I walked into Sassafras and the bartender James says, "Hey man, I remember you from the '90s playing at Molly Malone's, and what are you up to these days? You still making music?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I'm making music." And and he says, "Man, we're looking for some music here. We really want to we're really looking for a blues band, and you don't have a blues band, do you? There's like a traditional blues band." I said, "I'll put one together." And that was the start
Like that.
of that band. Yeah, and I think the next week we were doing our first gig there, and we were
Right.
one of the first bands playing all covers, all traditional blues covers.
Mm.
And then eventually that went into us writing some original songs, and then eventually that led into me meeting my good friend Mark Malone, who is a television scriptwriter, and us writing 21 original songs for Reverend Tall Tree's Blues Opera, which is a stage
Right.
show. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead a little
So
bit here. Yeah,
now, no, I think I know this is perfect. I think I might have, because there was a night where I was managing a band. We were doing a residency at the Sayers Club.
yeah.
And I don't know if you probably don't remember this, but I remember you guys performed that night. And it was like, it's like the Sayers Club experience back in the day when it was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
everybody was like crowded around those couches and you were just like killing it. And I
Oh
kind of
man.
think that might have been, was it possible you did the blues opera, or was it just songs from the album that I saw?
Yeah, we never did it at Sayers, but I
Okay,
have
so it
played
was just
Reverend
songs.
Tall Tree songs there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was so great. I mean, obviously, I'd seen you guys do a couple shows, but that one was just like
Yeah.
hot and sweaty and good.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So you do the blues opera, and you put that's just live, so it doesn't exist on any physical format or digital
Not
format
yet.
right
Not yet.
now.
Yeah, we were just
Okay.
getting to the point where we had played it in a few states and different theaters, and we were getting up till 2020. We were getting it ready for bigger
Yes.
stages and recordings and that kind of thing.
Uh,
So hopefully, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Who
2021.
knows? Hopefully, there'll be
Hmm.
a record with and a stage version in a greater uh, uh, presentation of it coming up. Yeah,
I hope so too. I can't wait to see it. 21 songs. That sounds heavenly.
yeah. It's
I
a
see you have
story.
your
Yeah, it's
guitar.
kind of.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Your story. You were saying the story.
Oh, I said it tells a story of this street preacher in the 1930s, and it really weaves in and out of like uh, love, pain, murder, death, redemption. It's a really beautiful story of life and inspiration, and
Hmm.
yeah, I hope everybody gets to see it. I really would like to play it out more.
Have you have you thought about? Are you guys thinking to do it like on stage and recording it like as like an actual opera? Like, yeah, good.
Yeah,
That'll
we
be
did some
beautiful.
demos, and but I think actually a live recording would be the way to go.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Well, I hope that we get to see that soon. I
yeah,
um I love opera. It's a weird
yeah,
thing to say, but I do really like the drama of it all, and
yeah.
used to go all the time. Then adulthood hit. Okay, so now you covered Reverend Talltree and Chris Pierce, and I know you have a new single coming out, so I'm going to ask you to play that, and then I think we're
Sure.
going to watch the video for it too with you.
Oh,
But
cool.
you also are. Do you have another band too, or
Yeah, I have another band called Warren Pierce.
Warren Pierce?
Warren
Yeah,
Pierce,
Warren
yeah,
Pierce.
and that's with that's with myself and Sonny War. So that's where we got Warren
Yes.
Pierce. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
um,
that. That's
and
beautiful.
our producer Jared Faber, and we put an EP out. I think it was 2016,
Hmm.
and it's just a really beautiful project and great roots sounds. And we're actually working on some new music now to put out next year.
Cool.
Uh,
Great.
and so that was 16, and then 17 I went to Muscle Shoals and did
Hmm.
another
Oh,
Chris
right.
Pierce record.
That's
And that was
right.
with the Swampers and the Muscle Shoals horns, all the original cats, and Donna Jean Godshaw sang on it, and the Shoals sisters,
Mm.
and that was all like '60s soul
Yep.
covers.
Amazing.
Yeah, and now I'm getting ready to
Love that.
release a new album, and I just released a new single last week.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
you did.
Yeah,
Called American.
American Silence. Yeah,
Yeah, they want to.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's great. I'm glad. Before we go there, though, can we talk about that Muscle Shoals experience? So,
yeah.
had you been there before? Did you have like working knowledge of going like what that was going to be like, or was that all new to you?
My only knowledge were the records I grew up on, and the
Hmm.
Muscle Shoals film that had just come out.
Come out.
Yeah, and then my dear friend for decades, like family to me, Dave Resnick, called me up,
Mm.
and he said, "Hey, have you seen that Muscle Shoals movie?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, I can get a hold of some of those folks, and what do you think about going down there and making an album?" And I said, "I think that's a great idea." And
That's
and
amazing.
we went down twice. It was my first time in Muscle
Okay.
Shoals. We went back down twice for 3 days each time. And what we did was we did 6 songs each time, and we did or 5 songs each time. And
Okay.
we cut vocals, and I cut live with all the guys, Spooner Oldham and David Hood and Jimmy Johnson and
Wow.
everybody. We all cut live the first day. The second day, uh, the horns came in, the Muscle Shoals horns, who are incredible, who have been on
Uh,
everything.
uh,
And then the third day we do some kind of overdubs and background singing and that kind of thing. So we did
mm.
two sessions like that, 2 3 day times, and the album came out just beautiful. I love it. It's like one of
I
my
love it.
favorite
It's
things I've
great.
ever worked on.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's what a dream to get to do that. Like just to walk in those footsteps, you know? Oh,
They were everybody was so welcoming, and just
mm,
that just filled with love and support, and
that's great.
folks would bring food and put it in the kitchen in the studio for everybody to eat, and they brought from home.
That's,
And I mean, it was
oh,
it
that's
was
great.
it was and just knowing I was in there with folks who were on some of my favorite records of all time,
Albums.
Aretha
Yeah.
Franklin
Yeah.
records. I mean,
Yeah.
so many just great, incredible. So
That's
it was just a
awesome.
beautiful experience. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so, and I had called, I had an idea to do an album when I first met Hamish, to do an album where he did a song in every studio that was an iconic studio, right? So
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
before the TV show happened. Then
Yeah.
the TV show happened, and I was like, well, that's not
Mm.
going to even remotely happen now
Oh,
because
yeah.
everything just went
Yeah.
through a showcase. But I did call Muscle Shoals, and they were
Yeah.
very kind. And there's
Yeah.
just, I mean, look, yeah, and like I love live music, like you said. Literally the reason I'm doing this is just if you can perform live,
Yeah.
it's just this emotional whatever connection you
Yeah.
have
That's right.
with the crowd and the people and the artist, right?
Yeah.
But when you're in the studio, it's like to make something from nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like mind blowing that you guys walk in there and you're like, a couple days later, you got like a fully formed piece of intellectual property that you own in theory, and you're able to put out in the world, and
Yeah.
it's never to be taken away from you. It's a moment in time that's just yours. It's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah. Yeah. It's
awesome.
beautiful. I always compare music to cooking. It's like walking in with a pan and a stick of butter, and
Yeah,
and then you walk out with this beautiful you know bolognese or something. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all you want to do is
Or
share it with
frittata.
everybody. All you want to do is share it with everybody you know. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And how?
yeah, but the
Yeah, that's
possibilities
amazing.
are endless, and being in
They
with
really are.
legends is just a whole other thing, because just the the instinct that
Mm,
those cats have, and being there with them, just the instinct that we didn't do more than 2 takes cut live of any song. I mean,
so-
it was like a well-oiled machine, um, of
mm,
soul, like just dripping with soul. It was unbelievable.
That's so
um,
cool.
Incredible experience. Yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, you're right. It's probably like a major education just being around them, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Good for you. Well, I'm really glad that you got to do that. That's a really cool piece of history right there, you know, no matter what. So
That's
fun.
right.
Okay. And so now fast forward to 2020, the real 2020.
Mm.
We have you just released this single, and I was so excited because I knew we, you know, talked about having you on a while ago, and I was like, yay, finally a reason for you to come on. And
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully I was going to ask you to do it for us. And I know you have a great video for it too, so we'll share that afterwards. But maybe would you mind playing the song for us?
Not a problem. I'd love to.
Since you got that guitar in your hand.
Yeah, I've been waiting, you know. I've been hugging
Yeah,
it and
we're gonna
holding
do
it.
full
Yeah.
screen, and I'll come back after the song is over.
Okay, cool. This is
Yep.
American Silence. Will you rise up when your comfort is in jeopardy? Will you resist justifying the complexities? Is simplicity convenient in your quest to pacify? When you look in the mirror, can you see your own disguise? Can we sing a song for you? Will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence is a crime. We see the music move you as you lay your burden down. We feel the music grip you as your heart is soaking sound. And when the song is over, if you decide to clap aloud, will your applause mean anything with stitches on your mouth? Can we sing a song for you? Will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence is a crime. We sing for the freedom, we fight for all it's worth. We sing for humanity so we can all walk the earth. We sing with honor to live to sing another song. We sing through the pain and we keep on marching on. Can we sing a song for you? Oh, will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence, American silence, American silence is a crime. All right, all right.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Your vocals are just, I have these goosebumps that come out. Like, I don't know if you can see, you can't see them, but oh, they're just like, it's so good. That's a great song. So do you want to tell us about it while we watch the music video you did for it too? Would you mind like guiding us through what made you write it and the
Sure.
impetus
Yeah.
behind it?
I actually wrote the word American silence I wrote it down in around January of 2016.
Okay.
When
Wow.
all of January 2016 was going on, and we had the new president in here in the states, and I wrote the word down, thinking, okay, it's important for us to keep speaking out against injustice and against
Mhm.
oppression, and lifting our voices, and not being complacent, and it turned out in over the year. I didn't really think about it, that term, for a while until 2020, and felt like people were starting to get engaged that weren't normally engaged, and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
encourage people to make fighting for what they believe in and fighting for social justice and equality for all part of their lives, and let it not just be a fad that passes. Because our history tells us that that's happened again and again and again and again. That these brutal things happen. Everybody's shocked and appalled by it, and then for a short time, people speak out and then move on to their lives.
Move on.
This song's about, make it a part of your life. Why not? I mean, make it a part of your life. Speak out for your fellow folks, the people you love, the people you don't know,
Yeah.
the people
Yeah.
whose life that doesn't affect you. Uh, and so that's what this song is about. And so I enlisted some of my brothers, long time, to do the video. John Butcher's in there. John Butcher Axis. He's a legend. He's my brother for many years. He's like a guru, music guru of mine. Tariq Akoni, amazing guitar player who plays with everybody from Josh Groban. He's played with Stevie Wonder, and the list goes on and on and on. Uh, Paul Allen, incredible percussionist here in LA, drummer. That's Al Keith, another incredible percussionist. All these cats I've known for a long, long time. Teron Brooks, who, man, I mean, Teron starred in the Temptation movie and in Lion King on Broadway. Rob Perkins and Ethan Perkins. Rob and I go back to college. He went on to play drums for Michael Bublé for many years, and a lot of people. Terry Shorter, who's a guy I grew up with, incredible singer, and we had a music group together growing up, and we competed against R. Kelly on the TV show, and
Awesome.
Adam Bush and Charles Little, both filmmakers, and my friend Jermaine Burse, who's in the wine business and also an incredible visual artist who lives in Napa. So I enlisted all these cats, and I said, "Hey, man, let's just all sing the song and send me some video, and let people know that through all of our different faces and hearts and uniqueness, how important this is to keep speaking truth to power."
Truth to power. Absolutely.
And that's the video and the song in a nutshell.
That's so powerful. I love this. And it's you're absolutely right that people and we're all guilty of it, right? It's like it hits you and you're like, wrong, this is so wrong, we need to do something about it. And then you just realize it just keeps coming at you, and it feels like you're never going to be able to do anything about it. So I'm glad that you're at least putting that out there for people to just think about, like, what else, how can we integrate it into our lives daily to just commit to supporting one another, especially when there's wrongs to be righted. We have to do better. All of us, all the time.
Yeah, and I think we're living 2020 is a unique time. We have we're not bombarded with our everyday moving, shaking, traveling, this, that, the other thing, and haven't been a lot of folks for a while. And I think finding that time of stillness to find a place in your heart to realize that the things you're seeing on TV that you're appalled about or reading in the paper, these are happening to people. This is some people's realities. Dealing with racism has been my personal reality since I was as long as I can remember. And there's so many battles, unnecessary battles that folks are having to deal with every day, that you may see at the street or at the grocery store or at the gas station or wherever. And why not take the time to find that place in your heart to be compassionate for all? And I'm not just talking about racism, I mean, there's just so many injustices, and there's so many people who don't feel like their voices are ever
Heard.
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot to be, unpacked as we continue down into 2021 and 2022. And for what it's worth, like, you know, I, I moved here, in 1992, the
Mm.
first time. And it
Yeah.
was it was like the Rodney King riots.
Mm.
Uh, I mean,
I
it was just like
remember.
the one of the biggest times in civil unrest for Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And obviously you were here too.
Yeah.
Uh, I had moved from New York, and you, we, it's still the same conversation. It's just
Mm.
like, and we're just small pieces of this world.
Yeah.
To think that there hasn't been a better way to go about this yet is it's hard for me to understand, and I think it's
Yeah.
hard for a lot, all of us
Yeah.
collectively, the 74 million people, I think, who voted one way, maybe even more, are
Mm.
just ready for a change. So I think songs like this are so important. The last time I heard a conversation like this was last year when Gary Clark Jr. released This Land. I
Yeah.
remember I said to him, I was like, this is maybe one of the most important conversations we could be having right now.
Mm. Mm.
So I mean, let the messaging continue. Keep
Yes.
the torch
Yes.
going. Good
Amen.
job.
Amen.
Beautiful
Amen,
piece.
sister. Yes.
And that video is amazing. This is I mean, considering 2020 and how challenging it is to do anything this year, it's a very profound piece. So great job. Really
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. I want to be like peppy and upbeat with you, and I just don't feel like I can.
Oh, what? Why is that?
Just joking. I'm joking. I was like,
Oh,
it's just one of those, like, we have to have these heavy, every
oh yeah.
few
Well, they're
uncut.
necessary, but
No, I know. I'm just
but
teasing. I'm teasing
we're
because
light seekers, and then that's what
I
we do.
know.
We find the light, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
fighting against the darkness in the world, it doesn't mean that you can't be optimistic. It just means that you fight.
Oh,
You
yeah.
fight
I'm
your
all
way
there.
through. Yeah,
I'm with
yeah,
you
absolutely.
1,000%. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not giving up.
yeah,
So,
that's
but
right.
sometimes you do feel like it's, there are some days that you're like, it's easier than others.
Yeah.
And I'm so optimistic
Mm,
for all of us
mm.
we keep thinking about it, but it's like the world needs to, it's like the hug or the healing time,
Yes.
and whenever I'm the most overwhelmed by something emotionally, it's usually when I see the crossing over into an area where that it could hurt you, right? But that
Yes.
the only way to do it is through love. And
Yes.
my other artist, Ruby Bell, who you've met, she's also very much about,
Incredible.
we
Love
come
her.
at things
Yeah.
with that, with that aren't good, that don't feel good energy, with like compassion, and even more compassion than
Yeah.
you could possibly imagine, because they need it more, so
Yeah.
so I'm the same way. I
There's
get
an
it.
old term, kill them with kindness, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That
And
energy,
mhm.
it's not the easy. It's not the easy road.
No,
But
it's for sure.
it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's definitely important. Well, I commend you on the jobs that you're doing, the work and the conversations that you're having, and how important they are. And hopefully, I know you were saying that the social media tries to suppress things, but hopefully that doesn't happen in the future for you, because it
Yeah.
needs to get out there. It needs to get out there. So we're here for you. So
Right.
speaking of getting out there, what's next for you? I mean, I know, we're hoping 2021 is going to be a little bit more of a reprieve, but are you, I mean, I know do you have an album planned? I think maybe you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I do. I have an album that I recorded about a month ago with. I did it up at self-produced. I did it up at Clay Blair's studio, Boulevard Recording. Clay recorded and mixed it. Yeah,
That's
and
crazy. He's actually doing tape right now for Hamish for
I
a
love
song
it.
where
I
that's
love it.
insane. That's awesome.
Clay's the best and an awesome chef too. I don't know if you've
I heard his
tasted his
barbecue is
barbecue.
crazy. I know.
Oh man, he just started a pop up Beechwood Barbecue. Look it up, folks. And
Dude,
he's
that's great.
doing stuff, pulled pork and racks of ribs every weekend. It's just incredible. But anyway, it's equally, if not more incredible, in the studio. We did it like a socially distanced. Me on one side of the glass and him on the other
Mm,
record, and Gavin Lurson mastered it, and Matthew Bitone
mm.
did some artwork. He's done most of my albums. and we're going to
Oh my
release
God, I love
that.
that guy.
Yeah, yeah. He's an
Mm,
old friend of 25 years, and
that's amazing.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah, and so yeah, that's going to be released probably late winter,
Okay.
and we're still figuring out a date. Got a couple people checking it out and that kind of thing. You know how that goes. So
Cool. Yeah, I do. That's
uh,
great.
yeah, and then I'm also working on some writing as well,
Hmm.
and but really, some teaching. I've been doing some teaching, college kind of teaching, and
Oh, that's
music
great.
stuff, kind of guest artists at different universities, online courses. So I
Mm,
think that's something I'll probably be doing a little more of in the coming up. Um,
nice.
and I believe I'm still scheduled to play at Bottle Rock. Hopefully that happens.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah, I think they just moved it to September. So
Yeah, I saw
fingers
that.
crossed for
Yeah,
September.
yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. He
Yeah,
did the right thing. I love Tom
yeah.
Hoppa. Oh, I love him so
Oh,
much. He's
oh
such a
man,
great person. There are
powerful,
some
beautiful
gems in
heart.
this industry.
Yeah,
Really beautiful heart.
yeah,
Yeah, I know he
absolutely.
loves you.
Mm,
That's fun. That's a fun one. Good
he
for you.
loves
That'll
me.
be really great. Good for you. I
Yeah.
we always like to ask, we're towards the end, obviously, of our time together. So
Uh,
thank you for spending the night with us,
yeah,
with me. I have
my
multiple
pleasure.
personalities, apparently. I keep saying us. There's people behind the scenes, Johannes and Jess. Thanks to everybody helping
There's
us
some
over
guitars
here.
back here. They all have
Yeah.
souls. Yeah.
And your friend, yeah, our
Yeah.
friends. I got sparkles here somewhere. But I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind two questions. One is, obviously you have an incredibly extensive catalog, and I know this is
Yeah.
going to be a hard one for you to answer.
Yeah.
But do you think, is there like one, if somebody was just like coming in fresh and brand new, what's like one song, or is there like a lyric of a song that you're particularly like proud of, that you're like, I know they're all your children, but like
Mm.
you're like, please start here. And this might be a good place for you to start, as opposed to
Oh
favorite.
boy, I'd probably say Static Trampoline. Um,
That first one.
yeah, yeah, that
Well,
song.
that's great.
Well, that was the name of the first album, but the
Yeah.
song itself,
Hmm.
I wrote it. It'll be 20 years this
Wow.
December. It'll be 20 years in a few days that my father passed away, and
Wow.
I wrote it the day he passed, and that song, it just every time I get to play it, it just brings out so much emotion and
Mm,
spirit, and it's so much of he and I, my dad and myself and my mother, and every experience I had with him is in that song. And
mm,
every time I get to play it, it just wild, miraculous things happen, and it just creates this energy, and and I just
mm.
think it really just captures who I am and what I do uh, in one song, and it's a song that I've gotten letters about from all over the world. When you played
That's
that
great.
song,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so I'm the most proud of those songs that actually reach the heart, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
That's great.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good one. Okay. So static, that trampoline, it's going to be hard to beat that answer in the future with other people. So thanks
mm,
for being so honest and candid.
yeah,
Did you write that as a result of your father's passing, or did you write
yeah,
it on the same date
yeah.
inadvertently?
Kind of the timeline was, and again, it's been 20 years, so it's a little.
Mm,
He went into a coma, and he was in there for 21 days, and I was actually. It kind of got to the point where the people at the hospital. I'm the only child, so I was there every day, and they said,
mm,
take a break, go get back to your regular life for a while, and that kind of thing. And he was, less than an hour away, and so I went. I had a rehearsal that day, actually, with some folks I mentioned earlier, and um, we were rehearsing for a show I was supposed to play that night at the Martini Lounge. Do you remember that place?
I
On
do.
Yeah, on Melrose.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Melrose.
yeah, this was the year 2000. The
Mhm.
year 2000. And and so I went to this rehearsal, and I was rehearsal was just about to end, and I got the call, and that he had passed, and or no, I got the call that he was he was gonna be passing soon. And so I
Mm.
got in my truck and I start uh, driving out there. Um, and I remember being perplexed after the experience, thinking, I can't play a show tonight. There's no way, I'll fall apart. And then I'd say no, but that this is what music is here for.
Mm.
Uh, and and I remember thinking to myself, what would he want me to do? He'd want me to play the show. And so I did, but before I played the show, I worked on writing this song. And it was a place of refuge for me. It was a safe place. It was a place that I could just, work it out. It was in this song, and that's what I did the rest of the afternoon, and then went to the Martini Lounge. And I don't even
Yeah.
hardly remember that night. It was so emotional. I think we played. I think they'd let us play because I think they knew what had happened, and the club
Mm.
owners just. I think they let me play for like over 3 hours,
Oh,
and it seemed like 15 minutes to me.
yeah.
It was all just so surreal. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of how this song was born. Yeah,
Man, that's a beautiful, beautiful story. That's a beautiful story. It's
yeah,
amazing to think like, I'm sure you're probably right. He probably would have really wanted you to do this,
yeah, yeah, for
They don't want
sure.
you to struggle and suffer.
Yeah,
3 hours,
yeah.
it's the best uh, therapy session too. So
Yeah,
doing
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, every time I get to play is
it's
yeah,
therapy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah,
Well, that's a good one. Would you be open to one last question?
yeah,
Do you mind before we
yeah.
get you out of here?
Hmm.
Uh, One of the things that we'd love to get in your head and see, not to say that, um, well, it is what it is. It's a question. So,
Mm.
if over the years, have you had like a moment where you heard something, and you were like, I wish I had written that song. That's the most amazing thing. Like I like genuinely feel like that could have been my song.
Well, let me ask the question with a question. So, do you mean
Okay.
having having heard it as and just hearing it for the first time and thinking I wish I would have written that song, or do you mean looking back at like a catalog of things and thinking, oh man, that I wish I would have written that song.
I think that
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's a clever way of nuancing it. I would say,
I'm just buying
like
time here while I'm thinking.
yeah.
Uh,
I always think like, so when I mean, I interviewed like, a producer and he brought up like Irving Berlin's White Christmas, cause in his mind, he was like,
yeah.
that's like one of the top grossing songs of all time.
Yeah.
So he's like, as a producer, that's a song I wish I'd written.
Yeah.
I was thinking more from an aesthetic,
Mm.
like if, you heard a song and you're like, that really is, I wish I'd written it. It's so something I would have written, or even
Uh,
like, I admire it so much. So it really could be open to either one.
I really, I remember, and I had a bunch of Otis Redding records, and then I somebody gave me a
Mm.
record, and I want to say it was probably 15 years ago, and it had "That's How Strong My Love Is" on it.
Oh,
And
I gotta write that
I
down.
had never heard the Stones version, or anything like that. So it was like hearing that song for the first time. Uh, and the lyrics alone, I thought, man, that if I were the sun way up there, I'd go with love everywhere. If I were the moon and the ocean, I mean, it was so poetic and beautiful, and just explained eternal love in such a soulful way. And I remember thinking, I got to learn that. If I were the sun way up there,
Mm.
I go and love most everywhere. And I learned it, and I played it at
Mm,
like every show.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, I wish I'd written that song. I think Steve
That's
Proper
great.
wrote
That's
that
great.
song. Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Proper.
I think so. Or maybe it
That's
was,
cool.
actually, I'm getting that wrong. No, Steve Proper wrote Don't Fight It.
Mm.
Oh man, it's Roosevelt. His name was Roosevelt. uh, Roosevelt Jameson, I think is his name.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna look it up real quick. But while we're
Oh,
saying goodbye,
yeah,
so I can get
we'll
it.
look
So
it
I
up.
can get it right.
So,
Who wrote that? Oh, go ahead. How?
so that's funny because I thought for sure you were going to say it, but whether
Roosevelt Jameson. I got it right.
oh, you were right, you
Yeah,
got it right.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
I had
right,
no
all
doubt.
right.
I had no doubt.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That is a really good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's. I think what's cool about some of these songs is like that song in particular is extremely accessible. I feel like the lyrics, it's not fancy. It's very simple. It's very poetic, like you said, but it's also really like just simple, and I
Yeah.
think because of that, it can last.
Yeah.
Those types of songs can last the test of time, just in its,
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
accessibility. That's
Yeah.
great. Good choice.
All
Hmm.
right.
Well, Chris, I got to tell you, it's been such an honor sitting with you. I remember very vividly the first time I walked into that place on La Brea and saw you singing in around somewhere,
Room
like
5.
gravelly
Yeah.
voice. Yeah, room 5.
All
Yeah. And
right.
I just
Yeah.
thought, this guy is like, that voice is it's just so great to be able to sit with you. And thank you for spending time with me. I know there's a lot going on in the world, so I'm super grateful, and it's been
Kristen,
lovely.
it's such a pleasure. I'm thankful for having an outlet to share what I'm up to, and thank you for
Mm,
taking your time to do that. And I
yeah.
see all the incredible work you're doing with so many beautiful, soulful, amazing artists. I'm a
Mm,
huge fan of yours as well, so please know that.
thank
And
you. Thank you.
I'm sure there's plenty more stuff for us to be talking about and working on in the future.
Every single
Yeah.
one of my artists loves you. Every single, I mean, like every Jessica, Ruby, Hamish, obviously. It's just great. So great to have you. Thank you for all of everything you do and the inspiration you provide. So it's lovely.
Thank you.
And please tell Tara we said hi too, because your wife is amazing.
I will. I will. Yeah. Thank you. I'll tell her. Yes, she is amazing. Every day,
Yeah.
I just pinch myself.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to have you on just to tell us stories from your touring, because I bet that is like probably some crazy stuff too. I'd love. We'll do a special uncuts with you on the touring.
You should do a series on Coffee Table Book on tour
I
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's some. I've seen some funny ones and heard some great ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good idea. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, thanks so much for joining us, and we're gonna let Hamish play us. I don't know if you know, but we had him do that theme song for us. So
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, Hamish.
But thank you so much, and everything. You guys, will see you all next week on Uncut Juels with Elizabeth Moen. And thank you so much for joining us. Please, please, please take a moment and listen to Chris Pierce, listen to Warren Pierce, listen to Reverend Talltree. Please show respect and love for all of our friends and our artists as well. But we really appreciate it. And I forgot to mention before, we did release 2 singles last week. Sorry, I got so excited.
Nice.
We have Today from CJ Ray that came out, and we've got Jessica's new version of Walk With Me. So please take a moment and listen to those 2. So thanks again, Chris. Thanks to all of you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Stay safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Forgot about that too. This week is crazy. See ya.